Hey, so I've joined a food delivery service called HelloFresh. So tonight I'm preparing the steak tagliata. That's what we're gonna go with. So join me as I put together this meal. Right now, I've laid out my potatoes, my rosemary, my garlic, and then over here I have my steak sitting ready to go. And we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna do it right. So I have halved the tomatoes, and then next I'm going to cut up the potatoes. I'm making sweet potato wedges, so that should be really delicious. Heads up, I am not a chef. I have a lid as my cutting board because I don't know where my cutting board went. But yeah, this is great for, us regular people who just want to have good food but don't want to get all the frou-frou cooking stuff. So yeah. And as you can see by my cutting skills, I am not very good at this. And this is actually kind of thick. But I'm going to press on because you know what? As long as it tastes good, how it looks does not matter. So the best thing that I bought in my life, best thing that I bought in my life is this Ninja, because it serves as like a food processor, but also like a smoothie maker and all that other good stuff. So like when a recipe calls for me to chop something, like I said, I'm not the best chef, but when a recipe calls for me to chop something, I just put it in here and boom, like I can get everything that I need within like 3 seconds. So I'm putting all the rosemary in here to chop, and I'll have it for my stuff to go into my sweet potatoes. So I just put it all in and put my Ninja on, and voila, I almost forget measure, but voila, I am done, and I don't even have to worry about chopping or any of that stuff. And you see how nicely that came out. You get all the pieces that you need, because I think the recipe called for 1 tablespoon. So you get all that in here, and it took me like maybe 15 seconds to get it. So next I'm going to lightly, well, you know what I mean. Next I'm going to drizzle the pan with a nice bottle of olive oil, and then I'm going to bring my sweet potatoes and rosemary and kind of pour them on the pan to make sure that they get a nice little coating. And then I'm going to stick them in the oven for like 20 minutes. And then so for salt, I like to use sea salt. It just, I don't know, it's something about salt of the sea that I think kind of tastes better for me. Oh, hey, that rhymes. But I don't know, I just like the taste of sea salt better than like the regular salt. So I'm going to kind of season it with sea salt just to kind of give it a nice little taste. And then I'm going to mix it again just to make sure that it's all evenly coated. And then I like to use the black pepper that you grind, because it just gives it a little more authentic taste than like using, the one that's already ground up. And I can kind of determine how much I want, everywhere. So I'm going to do this next and then stick it in the oven. Okay, so they are prepped and ready to go. And they are different sizes because F your beauty standards, even when it comes to food, and because I suck at cutting again. But yeah, so here they are. Okay, so now it's time to prepare the steak. As you can tell, I have it in a baking pan and not on a cutting board because, again, this is for regular people who don't have all the necessary supplies. So it calls for salt and pepper. Again, I'm using my sea salt here instead of the regular kosher salt. And I like to just season it just under what they recommend, just because I don't want too much sodium in my stuff, because cholesterol and all that. So yeah, and the blood is running out. So I don't put too much salt on my meat, but I will go up for some pepper. I don't know, I just like spicy stuff or more peppery stuff versus salty. So they're ready to go onto the skillet, and then after the skillet, it gets put in the oven to cook on the inside. So the recipe calls for a vinaigrette to go with the salad and steak. So this is the vinaigrette that I'm putting together. It calls for olive oil, salt, oregano, pepper, and then the balsamic vinaigrette. So you just whisk it together and hope it doesn't fall off while I'm trying to do everything with one hand, like a G. Kind of whisk it together, make sure it's all blended and stuff and all Yummy, yummy, yummy. Get all the flavors in there. Yeah, so I think that's good. And I'm gonna set it aside and then prepare the steak to be put on the thing. So you're supposed to let it cook for 2 to 3 minutes per side. So I don't know how to tell time. So I just use my microwave timer. I have the potatoes in the oven cooking, so I'm just using that to kind of gauge when to flip it over and stuff. And here is the finished product. The potatoes, put some arugula underneath it, and then the steak. So, bon appetit!